Hello everyone, so this is the summary of the poem To a Skylark by Percy Bysshe Shelley. So these are the important points. This poem was written by Percy Bysshe Shelley in 1820 and published with his lyrical drama Prometheus Unbound. This poem was written when the poet was walking with his wife Mary Shelley near Livorno in Italy when they heard the song of a skylark. In this poem, poet appreciates the beauty of the song sung by the skylark. This poem is addressed to the skylark directly. In this poem, the poet contrasts the happiness and joy experienced by the singing skylark with the misery and pain suffered by the human beings. So, this is the text of the poem. Hail to thee, bliss spirit, but thou never were, that from heaven or near it pourest thy full heart in profuse strains of unpremeditated art. So, when the poem opens, the speaker addresses a skylark directly and calls it as a happy spirit. He is very much fascinated and impressed by the beauty of its song. And next, he says that skylark is not actually a bird but a creature from heaven, from where it is pouring out its beautiful song that is directly coming from its heart. Next speaker says that he is very much impressed and amazed by this song because it is unplanned and spontaneous. Higher still and higher, from the earth thou springest like a cloud of fire, the blue deep thou wingest, and singing still dost soar, and soaring ever singest. So next speaker says that the bird continues to fly higher and higher in the sky and is unstoppable and uncontrollable like flames of fire. Speaker says it seems as if the bird has sprung up from the earth and is going to heaven from where it has come. In the golden lightning of the sunken sun, over which clouds are brightening, thou dost float and run, like an unbounded joy whose race has just begun. So, in these lines, the speaker says that the bird is flying higher and higher in the sky and is singing its song. And he says that the setting sun brightens the clouds in the sky with its golden light, and the bird flies over these clouds and is called to be a symbol of happiness and joy whose race has just begun. The pale purple even melts around thy flight like a star of heaven. In the broad delight, thou art unseen, but yet I hear thy shrill delight. So, in these lines, speaker says that as the sun is setting, the entire atmosphere looks purple, and it seems to the speaker as if the sky has enveloped the bird or the sky has obscured the bird. Next, speaker says that he is not able to see the bird now as the bird has got disappeared in the sky, the way stars are not visible in the daytime, but they are present. So speaker can only hear the song of the skylark but is not able to watch the bird because it has flown higher and higher and has got disappeared in the sky. Keen as are the arrows of that silver sphere whose intense lamp narrows in the white dawn clear until we hardly see we feel that it is there. So, in these lines, speaker compares the song of the skylark with the sharp and piercing beams of moonlight. Although moonlight is not visible during the day, but people know that it is present. It means that although the speaker can't see the bird, but he can feel its presence through its song. All the earth and air with thy voice is loud, as when night is bare from one lonely cloud, the moon rains out her beams and heaven is overflowed. So in these lines, speaker says that the skylark's song makes the entire atmosphere happy and joyful, the way moon brightens up the atmosphere when the sky is clear from clouds. What thou art we know not, what is most like thee, from rainbow clouds there flow not drops so bright to see, as from thy presence showers a rain of melody. So now speaker says that he doesn't know what the skylark is and he doesn't know to whom he should compare the skylark. For him, skylark is beyond being a bird and is the symbol of happiness and joy. So next speaker compares the skylark with the drops of rain flowing through the rainbow and says that these drops are nothing as compared to the showers of the beautiful song sung by the skylark. Like a poet hidden in the light of thought, singing hymns unbidden, till the world is wrought to sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not. Next speaker compares the skylark with the poet engrossed in deep thought, who is about to compose a poem which can arouse an emotional response from the readers towards the hopes and fears of people of which they were unaware earlier. Like a high-born maiden in a palace tower, soothing her love-laden soul in secret hour, with music sweet as love, which o'erflows her bar, like a glow-worm golden in a dell of dew, scattering unbeholden its aerial hue among the flowers and grass which screen it from the view. So next speaker compares the skylark with an aristocratic young woman who is secretly singing a song to comfort her lovelorn heart in her chamber. So this woman lives in a tower of a castle, and the beauty of her song makes her entire chamber delightful. Next speaker compares the skylark to a glowworm spreading its light in a dew covered valley. This glowworm spreads and scatters its light among the flowers and grass, which hides this insect from being noticed. Like a rose embowered in its own green leaves by warm winds deflowered, till the scent it gives makes faint with too much sweet those heavy winged thieves. Sound of vernal showers on the twinkling grass, rain awakened flowers, all that ever was, joyous and clear and fresh, thy music doth surpass. So, in these lines, speaker compares the skylark with the rose covered by its own green leaves when the warm wind blows. Next, he says that the way fragrance of the rose attracts the nearby bees, similarly, the song of the skylark fascinates those who hear it. In the next line, speaker appreciates the music of the skylark, which is better than the sound of rain falling and refreshing the grass and the flowers. Okay, so he calls the music of the skylark better than the sound of the rain falling and refreshing the grass and the flowers. Next speaker says that he finds this song of the skylark more impressive and interesting than anything that is joyous, clear and fresh. Teach us, spirit or bird, what sweet thoughts are thine. I have never heard praise of love or wine that panted forth a flood of rapture so divine, chorus hymnal, O triumphant chant, matched with thine would be all, but an empty want, a thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want. So, in these lines, we get to know that the speaker wonders whether the skylark is a bird or a spirit and asks it to tell about its pure, sweet, and delightful thoughts. So, he wants to know the pure, sweet, and delightful thoughts of the skylark. Next, the speaker says that although human beings praise love or wine, but these two things are nothing as compared to the magical and divine song sung by the skylark. Next speaker says that the wedding songs and the songs celebrating victories are just empty boasts as compared to the majestic song of the skylark. The speaker believes that in wedding songs and in victory songs there is always a hidden desire to get something more. So there is no fulfillment in these songs. What objects are the fountains of thy happy strain? What fields or waves or mountains? What shapes of sky or plain? What love of thine own kind? What ignorance of pain? With thy clear keen joyance, languor cannot be, shadow of annoyance never came near thee. Thou lovest, but never knew love's sad satiety. So, in these lines, the speaker asks a question to the skylark about its source of inspiration, whether its source of inspiration for singing such a nice song are fields or the waves of the sea or mountains or formations of sky or plain land, or its love for other skylarks, or its ignorance of pain and suffering that is present upon earth among human beings. So he wonders about what is its source of inspiration. So next speaker says that the skylark is such a happy bird that it can never be tired or weak. It can't be irritated with anything because it is very much lost in joy and happiness. And he says that the skylark loves, but it can't be sad because of that love. Waking or asleep, thou of death must deem things more true and deep than we mortals dream, or how could thy notes flow in such a crystal stream? We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts. So, in these lines, speakers say that the skylark sings so happily, it seems as if it has no fear of death, whether it is conscious or unconscious. But human beings think a lot about death and get upset. The skylark is unaffected by the fear of death. Okay. Next, the speaker wonders about how skylark sings its song with such a clarity and beauty. And now speaker contrast the happiness experienced by the skylark with the pain and suffering of the people. Speaker says that the human beings are never satisfied with the present and keep looking back to the past and then to the future. They don't live in the present moment. They don't cherish what they have and keep longing for more and more. He says that the sincere laughter of people also hide their pain and their beautiful songs express their sadness. Yet, if we could scorn hate and pride and fear, if we were things born, not to shed a tear, I know not how thy joy we ever should come near. Better than all measures of delightful sound, better than all treasures that in books are found, thy skill to poet were thou scorner of the ground. So, in these lines, speakers say that even if human beings get rid of all negativity like hate, pride, and fear, even then they won't be able to compete with the excessive joy experienced by the skylark. Next, the speaker says that the song of the skylark is better than any delightful sound and it is better than any knowledge that can be found in books. Then speakers say that the skylark is superior to any poet because it is not concerned about earthly and common things. Teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know. Such harmonious madness from my lips would flow. The world should listen then as I am listening now. So, in these lines, the speaker urges to the skylark to teach half of its happiness to the speaker. Actually, the speaker wants to share the skylark's knowledge of ultimate joy, happiness, and fearlessness. He thinks that if he gains this knowledge, then he would be able to produce good poetry and the world would read his poems happily the way he is feeling joyful hearing the song of the skylark. And here the poem ends.